The following episode of the Maui Chamber of Commerce's Business Matters was originally broadcast on September 10th, 2024.
It's time now for Business Matters, brought to you by the Maui Chamber of Commerce. And now, here's your host, the president of the Maui Chamber of Commerce, Pam Toompop. Good morning, Pam. How are things going today, Pam?
Hey, it is another beautiful day here in Maui. How about you, Gary?
Same here. Another beautiful day. A nice crisp morning. It was a little cool this morning. I liked it.
Oh, I haven't been outside yet. You get up earlier than I do.
Yes, I do.
Well, thank you for all that you do for our show. It's always great to have you helping us present the information and have great guests on the show. So thank you for everything you do. And today, folks, for listening in, we're so excited to have you with us. We're going to speak with Myles Kawakami, first, who is the owner of Hawaiian Carpet One, and we're going to speak to Susie Thieman of Lokahi Pacific. But first, let me share a little bit about Myles. If you don't know him, he is a lifelong resident of the state of Hawaii. He's married to Dee Joyce, which is Joyce Kawakami, who many people know from Feed My Sheep. They have 3 children, Miley, Keikoa, and Hilii. And Myles has been a small business owner of Hawaiian Carpet One and Hawaiian Ceramic Tile. He's been doing this since 1981 on the island of Maui. And currently, he has done so many things. We first met when he was the former chairman of the board for the Maui Chamber of Commerce in 2006 and 2007. He's been a longstanding board member of Grace Bible Church on Maui, which is every nation denomination. He's a board member of Kiwanis Club of Maui and has been a member since 1980, and past president and board of director for Feed My Sheep, and be it with his wife Joyce being the founder and executive director. And so he's been on the advisory board and has really served in so many different capacities. And he has authored a book called God, My Business Partner, published by Harvest Evangelism in 2008. It's a great read. And I do want to say, with respect to Feed My Sheep, one of the things Myles has always said is he gave his wife Joyce an unlimited budget, and she overspends it every year. So I've always thought that to be such a great joke, but also such a tribute to his great service and the contributions that he has given to our community and to Feed My Sheep over many, many years. Good morning, Myles, and welcome to the show.
Well, good morning, Pam. Thank you very much.
We have, of course, loved having you involved in the Chamber for so many years, not only as the past chair and in leadership positions, but a longstanding member and someone who has always helped educate others on the challenges we face in Hawaii and how hard it is to do business here. Can you share, about your experience and some of the things that you found over the years that you've really had to overcome, given, how hard it is, and you always talk about having a business-friendly environment. What are some of the challenges you've experienced on how hard it is to do business here in this state?
Well, I'll tell you, first of all, let me mention that the Chamber of Commerce, is the only basis for representing the business owners here in Hawaii, especially legislatively. So I appreciate the Chamber very much and the work that you do.
Thank
but
you.
we did start the business 44 years ago. Actually, we are a family business, and when we started, it was just Joyce, my wife Joyce, and I. And when Joyce gave birth, our baby was at the store under the desk while we did our business and everything for the first couple of years. In fact, a funny story, we had a customer, Ed Reinecke, who was lieutenant governor under Ronald Reagan, and they owned a condo here on Maui, and they came over. They bought flooring from us, and our baby started crying. So my wife went and picked up the baby, and so Mrs. Reinecke carried our baby the whole time during selection and everything, and she'd come by every week just to hold the baby.
Oh,
that's how we started it. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, you now have 3 children, and I love that you have set this up as a family business. Can you tell people a little bit about what it means to be a family-owned business in Hawaii? And I know that you've accessed programs through the University of Hawaii that have been really tremendous in helping people think through planning a family-owned business and succession planning.
Yes, we are members of the Family Business Center at the University of Hawaii. And by the way, there's a Family Business Center at most colleges across the nation, and it's all about a family business, which I've come to understand is the backbone of America. When you look at the total number of employees in America, it's the family businesses that dwarfs every other enterprise, and it is literally what carries most communities, and certainly is so here on Maui. But I have to take the time to mention Peter Drucker, who is the guru, the founder of business management in the world. And he had a landmark book, Management, Tasks, Responsibilities, and Practices. And this book just changed my whole outlook on life as a businessman, as a business owner and everything. But one of the things that struck out at me from this book was that he says the purpose of a business is to improve the community it is in. And that just transformed my thought process. And with that, Joyce then started her Feed My Sheep in 1999. Actually, we just provide food for just a youth group that she was involved in, and she, is now the largest direct distributor. Feed My Sheep is now the largest direct distributor of food for the less fortunate here on Maui.
Yes. I should mention I'm also very proud to serve on the board. It really is an amazing organization. And the story of how Joyce got it started, just helping the youth who she provided snacks, and they needed. She realized they were hungry beyond the snacks that she had, and started distributing food out of the back of her car. And it's grown to be an amazing organization. And your family business has helped support that through many, many years.
Yes, we have been blessed to do so. And I think more importantly, as importantly, is that, God doesn't make a lot of promises, but one of the promises he makes is that if you care for the less fortunate, for the poor, then God will bless you and your business. And we are the recipients of that blessing for 44 years now.
It has, yes, you have been very blessed, and you have a gorgeous store. I'd love to go into your store and look at all of the amazing products. You have been bringing in some really interesting, innovative products these days. Can you talk a little bit about some of the new flooring things that you've been bringing in?
Yeah, I guess our name is the misnomer, Hawaiian Carpet One. When we started the business 44 years ago, we were 85% selling carpet. And today that amount has dropped to about 21, 22% because of the demographic shift in customer taste. And today, most of the products that we sell on the flooring are what we call hard surfaces, which is ceramic tile, porcelain tile, and certainly now the new vinyls that are just dominating the landscape, the flooring landscape down Maui.
Yeah, I bought it was a vinyl. It was a vinyl wood tile. I'm probably butchering up the sound, to be honest with you, but it was a new tile that came in that looks like wood flooring, looks like planks. That your son came in and installed for me. Scratch resistant, long life, and doesn't stain, which is fantastic over carpet for me with pets. And my dogs running over it did not scratch it at all. And absolutely love it. It just looks like you spent thousands more on beautiful, plank flooring that's been hardwood and varnished and shines. It's just stunning.
Yeah, the computer has enabled the manufacturers now to literally print anything that they can take a picture of. And the printing on the vinyl flooring now is so realistic that, I'm in the business, but if I look at a vinyl plank inch away, I would be hard pressed to tell you if it's real wood or not. It's just so realistic now.
Yeah. And the depth of the colors and the gradients and like what you'd find in the wood. Just amazing. And I think it's interesting to hear though that has really changed. That it's that you've really gone though from 85% carpet to about 21%. I mean, that's a huge shift. Tell us a little bit about watching that shift and making a pivot.
Yeah, we had to stay close and chase our customer. There are companies now that are still majority in selling carpet, and their revenues gotta reflect that. But the customer tastes have gone away from carpet. Carpet is now relegated in our business. Carpet is now relegated primarily to the bedrooms and family rooms. And even the family rooms are now losing market share. But here in Hawaii, we sit on the floor a lot. We take off our shoes at the door, and when we go to people's homes, we sit on the floor still. Carpet still has a role in the family room or a lot of the local homes, but certainly it's very, very diminishing in the market share of the home now.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense, and with these new products, I should also mention the flooring is really easy to clean too, which I love. So that's another great advantageous element of this new vinyl flooring is it's just super simple.
Yeah, I might mention that I think the primary reason carpet has lost market share has been the staining of the flooring and appearance.
Mm-hmm.
And manufacturers are reactive to it, and there are now carpets coming out that is literally stain-proof and it's called resilient. So there may be an uptick coming on in the future because carpet has a lot of advantages. It's insulative in noise, in temperature. It's comfortable, and it also has a tremendous array of color. So I suspect we may see a little bit of an uptick in the future in carpet.
With these new changes, that would make sense. It would make sense for me too. Yeah, I do love the feel of carpet under my feet, especially in colder areas of country. When you get up in the morning, it's lovely.
Yeah, true.
Myles, throughout the time that I've gotten to know you through your great leadership when you were chairman of the board and always throughout your tenure as being a business owner and chamber member, you have helped champion changes to our regulatory environment to help educate government on the difference between a minimum wage and a living wage, and to work to help them understand the plight of business. Can you share a little bit about some of the things that you feel are really important for business owners to understand, for government to understand, for our community to understand about what it's like to be a small business, and why creating a business-friendly environment in Hawaii is so important to our future?
Yeah, I have people have come up to me and asked me about, like a lot of people really want to be a business owner and things, and I tell them, it's not an easy thing to do. It's very difficult. It's very time consuming. When we first started out, I think I was working 60, 70 hours a week for many, many years. And we also have a regulatory environment that is maybe the most business unfriendly in the nation, according to Forbes magazine. And of course, I had no idea about all of this. I just, stuck my nose to the grindstone and worked. But later, when I joined the Carpet One, which is 2,000 stores nationwide that have banded together to do buying and other things together, to lower our costs. And I was elected to the board of Carpet One. When I saw what carpet dealers, floor covering dealers in other states went through compared to what I went through, I was just shocked. In fact, I've had quite a few people, especially from Florida and Texas, tell me, why do you put up with all this, Myles? When I tell them what we got to go through here on Maui. And I just tell them, we do not have a choice, but we need to educate government to become business friendly and not somewhat antagonistic that in going through things. But our government has a lot to do in our business, and what that has done is, I'm in the contracting business. I have to have a contractor's license to do my business. And what that has done, all of these regulations, is that it spawned a huge underground enterprise called Greenlighters who operate without contractor's license, and they're able to undercut our costs by like 40% because of the government regulations that we have to comply with. And there's states in the union that do not allow this, so the regular businesses like ours can compete very well on the labor market with the unlicensed people. And so, what that has caused for us is to get out of the labor business and become a material provider, which is the easy way out of it, I should say. But those areas have been very hard for us in the construction industry trade.
Well, you're absolutely right. It's been a long-standing issue, and sometimes it's a forgotten issue, because when the industry is booming, we often forget about those who are competing against the licensed businesses and everything you have to go through to be a licensed contractor, and the insurance levels you have to maintain, and just the standards that you're held to. And when the economy drops, you have all that those unlicensed folks grow. The number of the people who are performing unlicensed work grows, and then we find, that it's creating such a huge hardship on the licensed contractors. But not only that, the scary part is that the people who are using unlicensed contractors don't understand the risks that they're taking in using unlicensed contractors and the protections they don't have. And further, the state, well, they have fines and they have all sorts of things they can impose. They only regulate by complaint, so they don't have the time to check on that. And in many states, I understand, very aggressive monitoring of unlicensed contractors and issuing of fines and shutting down businesses that are not operating correctly. And yet here it's primarily complaint driven. Very little is done. If you send information in about a complaint, it just it seems to not really go anywhere, which is creating a hardship for those licensed contractors and an unfair business climate.
Yeah, I think it will literally just drive companies away from being the labor portion side of it, and becoming material suppliers, like we've had to become.
Yeah, and in your arena too, and even in others, I know of people who, with some of these new flooring materials, homeowners, the dynamics are changing, and homeowners can even do self-installs. I'm not sure it looks as professional as it would have otherwise been done. But
the products have also recognized this and also have gone through more, make products easier to install, and thus eliminating the professional installer, and all that it entails. But there are products that really require a professional installer, and there are products that probably don't, in fact do not. And that portion of the industry is growing a lot faster than the professionally installed product.
Yeah, that's interesting to see that market shift as well. And again, the products are so gorgeous, and hard to tell the difference between real wood and some of the vinyl products. It's just an amazing shift. Well, Myles, we want everybody to know how they can find you and find you online, find you at the shop, and see all of your amazing products.
Well, thank you. We are located on Alamaha Street, right down the street from 7-Eleven. We own that building and the building and the warehouse therein, and we have a 20,000 square foot facility, warehouse and store there with a large local inventory. And we've been in business 44 years, and we'll continue to be there, be in business with the products and everything. And we're also a Cotton One dealer, one of 2,000 dealers nationwide. So we're able to get the pricing necessary to compete against all the big boxes and everything. And so we have been very fortunate to have our footprint on Maui, continue in that business line.
Well, beautiful products. I know that when I've come in to buy something that has something specific in mind, and then I get discombobulated the minute I get there because there's so many beautiful things to choose from that takes me back. But I also want to say that your staff does an amazing job educating your customers on different options, different colors, helping people think through the design and the look and how to coordinate it with other things going on in the home. and it is a beautiful showroom. I encourage people to go down and see if you're looking for flooring, carpet, or these new amazing ceramic tiles or vinyl planks. Visit Myles and the team, because it really is just a great place, and I will attest to phenomenal pricing. So visit Hawaiian Carpet One and Hawaiian Ceramic Flooring. And Myles, thank you for being on. I cherish your leadership. I cherish your community service and all that you've done for the chamber, for the community, to help inform government, to be involved in processes to try and make a difference at all levels of the work that you do and here in our community. You have been an amazing leader, and I really want to honor you for that. And with that, I don't know if I lost Myles, but I think Myles probably maybe went off the phone as we were ending his segment. So I want to say aloha to him and thank him for joining us today, and also sharing. Do get Peter Drucker's book. I mean, it's a great management book, and again, helping people understand the role of business in our community is so important. So next, we are going to have on Susie Thieman. Gary's going to give Susie a quick call. Susie is the executive director of Lokahi Pacific, a community development group, a nonprofit organization that has been building affordable housing, which is key to the Maui Chamber of Commerce, is seeing affordable housing and rentals built. She has been housing people with special needs. She has a business startup assistance program featuring commercial kitchens. She has office incubators, a training room. They provide services as a fiscal sponsor to many events and programs. And she has a long list of community service engagements that she's been a part of, too lengthy to mention here, but various boards, advisory councils, task force, committees, associations. She has garnered a lot of honors throughout her many years, to include organizations like the SBA, Hawaii Business Magazine, and the American Heart and Lung Associations, to just name a few. She has had a radio show for a number of years, and just also is an amazing leader in our community. So let me see. Is Susie on, Gary?
Yes, yes.
Thank you so much. Welcome, Susie.
I'm here.
Yes, and we are grateful. So you have been
wore
doing
me out with that introduction.
What's that?
I said you wore me out with that introduction.
My apologies. Not the community, though, because everybody wants to know about you. It's important that they know a little bit about you, and by that was a little bit about you. We could really wear people out with the full bio.
Oh, yeah, I wouldn't have time to talk to you if you did the whole thing.
That's right.
Hey, listening to Myles,
yeah,
brought up a couple of interesting things that I've learned over the last few months.
Yes, tell me.
We're in the business of housing, right? And so
yes,
for the last, what's it been now? 7 years, I guess, we have not built any housing, and that's terrible. I mean, that's a record I don't ever want to repeat. But I was talking to a friend of mine who just bought some property to build a new house in the state of Minnesota. And she was telling me that it takes 2 weeks to get a building permit.
Oh, yeah. How many council members have we had over the years who have traveled to other regions and come back and say, we've seen it done in 2 months, we've seen it done in 2 weeks, we've seen it done in a day, where the mayor brings everybody together and they just approve them. And we go, gosh, if you even got it 2 months, we'd be thrilled compared to what we're dealing with now. And that's been over my 18-year history at the Maui Chamber of Commerce.
And nothing has changed there. Nothing at all. It's gotten worse.
It's getting to be a challenge. I think with the wildfires, we're trying to see what it's like to hire outside people to come in and help their. Recently, I had a suggestion that to help the businesses, it would be great to also have a similar group help businesses get their liquor licenses back, and have an expedited group for that as well. Because they're struggling to get back into business.
That organization that they brought in to do the permits over there is incredible. They 4-Leaf, the number 4 and Leaf, LEAF. When we were doing the Ohana Assistance Program a couple months ago, they had incredible results. People whose lots were starting to be ready to build on. Yeah, I mean, they were getting permits in like a month.
See, I mean, it's possible. I mean, we know it's possible. I mean, forever and a day. It's been really interesting, and it's heightened for me right now because where this always comes up is on an election year. It always comes up as we're talking to different candidates, and it's the one thing that everybody continues to say. The business side says it, the county side says it, the legislators say it. We all know the permitting process is the problem. And so it's nice to see that kind of expediting. Speaking of that, though, and the work that you were doing on that program, can you share a little bit about how that went and how the housing grants went?
And, it was very interesting. The whole premise behind the program was started, in January of 23. The housing department was getting so many phone calls from people who had put in for permits to build Ohana units, trying to help ease the rental issue for the workforce housing folks. And they said it just was so heartbreaking to hear them say, but it took 14 months to get, or some of them 2 years to get their permits. And by the time they got the permits, the cost of constructing the unit was just prohibitive.
Right. No longer made sense.
Yeah, and we all know that. I mean, the costs were rising steadily over that period. And so they were trying to figure out a way to help the folks who really wanted to help their neighbors and fellow workers. And so they put together this idea and got together with the council chair, Alice Lee, and they came up with the idea of this program. Well, the thing that got probably more emphasis than it should have was the fact that this program was given a 30-day enrollment period. And one of the criteria was that you should have your permit in hand. So we got tons of phone calls, probably 300 phone calls from people saying, that's not fair. How would we have a permit in our hand in 30 days?
Right.
And so we tried to explain to them how this came about. And of course, during the interim between January, when this was all discussed, and this year in July, when the program was open, we had the fire. And so a lot of fire victims are sitting there saying, wait a minute, but there's nothing in here for fire victims. You say you need to be the owner-occupant of the main house on the lot. Our houses are gone.
Right.
We need to rebuild those, as well as I want to build an Ohana because I've seen how hard it is for other people.
Right.
And so, we said, okay, so we're gonna kind of hedge a little. We've got the people with permits that are applying, and we've got the people who are applying for permits during this 30-day period. We understand that you cannot get the grant until you get your permit, but at least you can be on the wait list.
Right, you're still moving forward.
So we did that. Well, we ended up with, I think it was 115 applicants that had complete packages. That means they had plans, they had their budget, they had their timelines, they had a contractor lined up, and all the ones who had permits, I mean, there were I can't remember now offhand, but I think it was 26 people actually were ready to go. Then there was oh gosh, I'm trying to remember now how many there were. There's another, caught me in a blank. Anyway, there's another double that number of people who had put in for permits during the period. And so basically, if they had everything else in place, as soon as they get a permit, if there was still money available, they should be given a grant, was the intent. And so we finished all the judging, excuse me, we finished all the judging on this about the mid-August, and we turned everything over to the housing department because they're the ones who were going to be awarding the grants and doing the paperwork for the liens and the contracts, because there's a 10-year contract that goes with the grant that they will, wherein they promise to rent to workforce housing folks or people in that income categories. It's the phone calls we've gotten afterwards are basically people wanting to know what's the status. And I keep saying, as soon as there's something to be announced, housing will be announcing it because it's out of our hands at this point. But it's been a crazy one. I mean, there's some really great people out there who want to help their neighbors and their friends and their coworkers. I was intrigued by the willingness. It's like different folks would say, well, I've had this room in the back of my yard and it's a perfect spot for it, but I never thought about building something. Right. You know, and if they can get the permit, that's telling them that they've got everything they need. I mean, it's passed through water, it's passed through, the electrical side and everything else, that they're ready to go. So they're basically shovel ready, and I'm hoping that it's going to move fast enough that prices aren't going to increase on these folks again as well.
So you said that was just, you're talking about this past August. It's turned over to the housing department, and you estimate, you said you had about 115 who were had complete, a lot of things complete, but you said about 26 were really ready to go.
I think that was the number, yeah.
And then I think you said you had about double that were really close.
Well, it's interesting how people read applications, Yeah. You and I have worked on a lot of different things that have applications involved, and the variety of minds that are approaching them. They're so varied. I mean, some people turned in the 7-page application and said it's complete. Well, I said, what about this whole list of attachments? Oh, well, if I get the grant, I'll give you those. And I go, what? Wait a minute. You're not going to get the grant unless you can provide those now. Oh.
Yeah.
I mean, that's part of the application.
You had a large number that had a complete application, and they were ready to go. And I'm floored. That's you have done such a remarkable job, especially given the challenges of looking at how the program rolled out, and then of course the wildfires, and trying to work with those impacted by the wildfires to help them get ready for this.
Well, it was, I think we were geared up for a lot more than what we got because of the comments from the housing department as to how this got started. I mean, if you've had, people calling you over the last 2 years, and I mean, they were talking about hundreds of phone calls, but I don't know if housing contacted them, if they kept a list, or if they didn't contact people or what. But I mean, we've gotten some calls now here. There we are a month later, or a month and a half later, I guess it is, saying we didn't even know it existed, and we have a permit. And it's really tough. The one thing I miss the most is the Maui news.
Yes, I know. With the reduction, the publication reduction, so much I hear that all the time, and I'm glad you brought that up. People are saying,
they look at their circulation numbers, and yes, they were low, but people still shared information out of it.
That's right. And the sad part is, all these notices need to get published in the newspaper, right?
Yeah.
So when we're not seeing the newspaper on a regular basis, it's so easy to miss a lot of these notifications. And I think just in general, and I'm going to say this for the chamber too, we've been trying to do a lot more social media stuff as well. But a lot of these notifications, we're going to have to, the key things people need to know about, we're going to have to do better at continuing to use the newspaper, but use other avenues. Because you keep hearing people say, this would have been a critical program for me, and I had no idea.
Yeah, as busy as you and I are, I know we touch on social media from time to time, but I don't study it like a lot of other people do. So I'm sure there's a lot of stuff on there that I've missed.
Yeah, I hire it out.
Oh,
not time at all. We hire it out, to be honest with you, with the local firm, because it's a lot to keep up with. It's constantly changing, and different avenues of what we do. One of the things we're experimenting with for the Maui County Festival is TikTok Reels, which is the new thing that we're working on, and Reels in general for other social media avenues. But it's a lot, and it's a lot to read and keep up with, and some of it's real information, some of it's not. So we have people who help us do that. But you're right about the Maui News and these notifications, especially on key programs.
Yeah.
To hear people are ready to go, and they didn't even know it's a challenge. Yeah.
They've been. I know that the Council Chair Lee has been talking about in the second round, based on the success of this first round. Again, it's all about timing and how quickly things can go, because right now I think everything is stuck in Corp Council because it's all legal paperwork.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, that, and that takes time. So we'll see how that goes. But I hope, again, that the key thing is to, as you and I push for on a daily basis, keep things moving quickly and getting people in housing. That's what this is all about.
Right.
And it sounds like you have a number of applicants just ready and gearing up to move forward, which is very exciting. I know
some of the numbers that we came up with on the rents. I mean, people will be cutting their rent in half by being able to move into these.
Wow.
Units.
Okay, so yes, let's get maybe a fast track another group in Corp Council to help us take it forward. People are desperate to cut their rent in half right now. Really, really desperate.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people are wanting to help in West Maui too, and we are hearing just astronomical fees, $5,000. People are rentals are going up, and then not just in West Maui. I mean, our whole community with the rentals and the payments that Thieman was making has really escalated our rental market in ways that I don't know what's going to happen when the FEMA money ends, but we're going to see something crash. And this is just not sustainable. We're losing people over it. Some of the stuff that people are doing to really gouge local residents and take advantage of this opportunity is deplorable. And not everybody is doing it. But there are a few people who are. And it's horrible. And we need to stop that. And unfortunately, we didn't get the protections we got under COVID on this from the governor. And we need to change that.
Well, and the attitudes of everybody, it's such a strange place right now because, I can remember not that long ago where everybody was in this together. And now it's like we're at each other's throats about things. We misunderstand what people say. We jump to conclusions. We take action instead of considering things. It's kind of a mess out there.
Well, it is. And I think through a difficult situation, a gentleman said it very well. And he said, hopefully with more housing, we'll have more aloha. And I think that people are so frustrated by not having their basic needs met. And housing has been, you've been working on it a long time. we did 2 summits on housing. We know what needs to be fixed. We were talking about the permitting, process earlier, and it's sad that we have to get to this point where we're screaming up for things that we can make huge differences. We've got on-island developers coming forward with new products to help, new ways to help. Week 1 of the wildfires, we were putting solutions in, encouraging the developers were meeting with the administration, and council member Tom and others, and people are trying to move things forward. But it's the system. And then FEMA added mobile to modular, and that kept a lot of our people on island from bidding. And we also have to look at the investment being made in the longevity of the products we're getting, and stuff that has been presented locally by those in this community who know housing well and have really affordable solutions, are seeing stuff brought in that has a lifespan of 10 years and it'll be in a landfill, which is the last thing we need here in an island state.
Oh, gosh, yes. Oh, it's a horrible thought.
Yeah, it is a horrible thought, especially when we know we've got better things. We know we have other solutions. People keep laughing and saying, "How does it feel to bang your head against the wall every day?" And I go, "Not good." It's worse when you know about it. It's one thing when you don't know, and
right.
So it's not as pressing because you don't fully understand a lot of the options available. And for those of us who are seeing a lot of really great options available, and we're just not getting there, moving forward quickly enough, it's a frustrating challenge. Before one, I want to thank you for the tremendous work you did on that grant, and I want to thank you for getting it done so expeditiously and working with people at so many different states. As you're trying to look at the legislation and help them move through that process and get them ready. And so we stand with you, and anything we can do to help encourage getting that out and expedited and help people build those units and get people in those housing and save half of the rent that they're currently paying. We stand ready to do. But before the show ends, I know...
I got to correct myself here on something. I just grabbed a sheet of paper here. We had 11 people with permits and 26 people with permit applications.
Okay, got it. Okay. When they said were permit applications.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you had 115 apply? Is that?
And 112 applied.
112 apply. Okay.
Yeah. So the funding for it was $2.5 million. And the grant max was $100,000, which of course everybody asked for. So that would be the first 11 or the first we had it. What did I say? I got to back up again. 11 and 26, right?
You said 11 and 26. Yeah.
Yeah. So the first 11 would have used up 1.1 million, and then that leaves 1.4 million to be divided up among the next 26. Basically 14 people out of
out of 26. Yeah.
So it did show us that there was a need for another round and more money, and with the after the people who found out about it afterwards, I'm sure there's even a lot more that still don't even know it happened. But I think the most interesting things were things like the people who there were a couple of widows who had property that they lived on for years and years and years, and they would call and they'd say, "You think I could have somebody in my backyard?" Because that would really kind of help me a little bit if I could get this grant, and I'd love to have a young family back there. So it was kind of interesting to hear the possibilities that would come up, as people thought about it. And I think, it's a touchy thing. Sometimes you get a wrong tenant, but for the most part, I think it can be really great.
I agree. Well, we've got a couple of minutes left. Let's talk about, I know you want to talk a little bit about what's happening in this amazing world of commercial insurance rates.
Oh, boy, don't get me started.
Well, I know we can probably go on for hours. Give me the high-level overview, and then I know you know so well.
You got it. So, we've got 8 properties, 6 of which are HUD rental properties, and so this new year of July 1, the commercial property insurance company that we've had for several years, actually many years, said we're not going to be selling anymore in Hawaii. And so our agents had to go out and hunt. The value we were looking at was about $24 million worth of properties. And they went to 22 different insurance companies. And there were 9 of them that turned them down flat out because they said they're ineligible due to HUD housing habitational occupancy. And we said, what the heck is that? Is that a form of discrimination?
That's terrible.
And so we turned this over to our HUD executive in San Francisco because we had it here in black and white, what the survey showed. And she was just astounded. She took it to her boss, and he said, what's going on out there? Okay.
So,
I'll wrap it up.
Susan, we're going to have to quickly wrap up. Do they have a solution, or where are we currently at?
They're going to be working on trying to increase the subsidy that they pay, which means more tax dollars. Because, for us, the bill went from $50,000 a year to $310,000 a year.
Oh, my gosh, that's astronomical.
Yeah, I mean, it's not something anybody wants to hear.
No, and we're going to pay for it as taxpayers. Susie, thank you so much for joining us. I'm going to bring, I want to bring Susan back on the show because this was a huge issue, and insurance with the wildfires is something we're all looking at, which inspectors show up and having difficulty getting it. So we'll continue that discussion. For those who joined us today, thank you so much for joining us. We hope you have a beautiful Maui week. You can also listen to the rebroadcast on Friday from 12:05 to about 12:58. And just want to send blessings and best wishes for a beautiful Maui day and week. Lovely Hills.